So we're about 5 and a bit weeks out from the English exam at this stage, and today I attended the Access Education lecture by Ross Huggard at La Trobe in Shepparton, and he made a number of good points, so I thought I'd put some of those into screencasts for those students who might not be able to get to a lecture, the cost might be prohibitive or whatever reason, but here are kind of his top tips. I'm going to do a few short screencasts so you can go and look at them individually depending on what you want to focus on. But this is kind of a holistic exam prep, what you can do right now, this short screencast. So the first thing that he advised the students at today's lecture to do is to go to the VCAR website and to look at past exam papers. So that simply can be done by going through Google and looking down. So once you pull up the English page, scroll down and you can see the exams, and these are all in PDF form, and the examiner's report. So you'll be familiar with the 2016 exam because you completed the Section C on your Year 11 exam last year, which was about this town of Lawton. So you can have a look through that, and you can find the question on mouse and have a look at those there. Ignore Section B completely. That has changed this year. It's now comparative because we've moved into a new study design. But Section C is very relevant, as is Section A. The other thing, and I've talked about this in my class, and I'm sure other teachers have spoken about it as well, but the examiner's report, and this is a report prepared by a group of people on the examination panel, just kind of general commentary about different parts of the exam, what students did well in, what they were looking for in terms of high achieving responses, etc. So whilst Section C has changed a little bit in terms of what they're asking you to really look at now, which is more argument, whereas before it was more language, the comments are still really relevant because the high achieving responses on this exam would still achieve very well on the new study design. So I would be paying attention to the Section A and Section C on this examiner's report, and on the 2015 and 2014 ones. All three will be relevant. So take a look through those. They're broken down by section. Obviously ignore Section B. And you can see, so this is 3 examples below, well written, relevant, and insightful, yet take different perspectives. So what you can do is you can take out some of the language, the framing terms that these authors have used, as in these students have used, and try and starting to implement them in your own practice pieces. So simply that could be printing out this page or a couple of these pages from wherever Section C begins, which is page 5 of this report, and pulling out some key phrases and trying to implement that in your own writing from now on. I think you need to be immediately trying to employ some of these frames and some of the keywords that I'll go over in later screencasts. All right, what else did he talk about? He said read the examiner's report, so we've talked about that. He also made the point that examiners are looking to reward you. They don't want to take away marks from you. It's not a punishment exercise. So if you are running out of time and you know you're not going to get your full essay done, he said that you should try to dot point the remainder of your essay so that the examiner can see that you clearly knew where you were going, and they can reward you for that. Obviously, you can't get full marks, but they can reward you for kind of clarity about the direction of your essay and the depth of your analysis. So don't forget that point there. Examiners are looking at each piece holistically, and they mark it against this criteria. So you can click on that, but I've got it open in this tab here. So I've given this out in class, but it's easily accessible here. They look at the piece as a whole and say whether you fall into the 9-10 bracket. And he said these look very similar. A 10 is just a bit more sophisticated than a 9. And he said if you are looking for a 65 or above as a score, then you need to be getting a 7 or above across all 3 pieces. So that means paying specific attention to what kind of qualities they're looking for in a 7, 8, and 9. So when you're getting practice pieces back, if you're thinking, oh, I did really well, I thought I did really well at that and I've got a 5, then you need to sit down with your teacher and you need to say, how do I get to a 6? How do I get to a 7? How do I get to an 8? What are the specific things I can implement on my next draft to try and move that number up? And you need to be doing that every single time, aggressively addressing areas of weakness in your own writing. Because if you are conscious of that and you are making an effort, you are bound to see results come exam day if you're putting the time and effort into that. What else has he got here? All exam sections, so that's A, B, and C, are about your ability to analyze how and why authors convey meaning in their texts. You need to keep this point at the forefront of your mind always. So how is Spiegelman conveying meaning through the form of a graphic novel, through the story of his father, through the three-tiered narrative structure, etc.? The benefit of the graphic novel is that it really lends itself to this good structural discussion, so you should all be primed for that. It's just about practicing and refining your expression. You need to think about how Orwell and Anna Funder are also using their texts and various elements of their texts to convey meaning, and that's something that you can look up through your drafting process, through rereading the texts and picking out some more specific parts of them to analyze, pairing up examples, not just characters. You need to be looking more broadly at the issues and ideas. So things like, how does it deal with individuality? How does it deal with control? How does it deal with power, etc.? But how are the authors trying to convey meaning in their texts? From now on, and I'm talking from the moment you watch this, write in timed conditions. That doesn't mean that you have to write within 60 minutes. What that means is you start a clock when you start writing, you write it in one go, and you stop the clock and you write at the bottom of your paper how long it took you. If it takes you 120 minutes, you write 120 minutes. If it takes you 75, you write 75. Whatever it is, write it. And you need to be trying to shorten that down to 55 minutes per text, I would suggest. You can probably allow a bit more time for section B, and I'll talk about that in a later screencast, but you want to be getting that down, and if you are having trouble getting your timing down, then you need to speak to your teacher about the best way to do that. I would also encourage you to come to Homework Club and completing these practice exams that we will be giving you, obviously, in the week 2 of the holidays and week 2 of term 4. You need to be practicing, but we will also be running practice ones, not full, maybe 2 parts in Homework Club in week 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you're more than welcome to attend that, and I would encourage you to do so. You need to write by hand, no more typing, none whatsoever. You figure out a way to get the draft to your teacher if you need to do that in the holidays, but you need to be writing by hand. Start with single papers. So you might say, right, this afternoon I'm going to do a section A paper for mouse. Pick one of the prompts from any of the documents you've been given and have a crack at it. Then you might say, I'm going to do another section A tomorrow and maybe another section A the next day. And then you might go, right, I'm moving to section B, and you might do a bit of prep for a couple of days and then do section B timed responses over a couple of days. I would suggest not doing too many until you get feedback, so maybe one of each, and then get some feedback on those in the lead up to the exam next week. Final note, and this was very explicitly and kind of forcefully put by Ross Huggard, the presenter, is get a dictionary now and start using it right now. So do not use your computer to look up terms. Do not use your phone. Get a dictionary and start making a habit that you are flicking through it, finding whatever you need. And he said, if there's a word that comes out in the background information in the question, wherever it is, and you don't know exactly what that word means, you look it up and you write it down, because you need to make sure you know exactly what that task is asking you, or if it's the background information of section C and you don't know what a transcript is or what a forum is, then you look those words up, you find out what they mean so you can talk about them in a meaningful way. Because if you don't understand what the word means, you can't possibly address all the elements of the task if that word is part of the question or a formative part of our understanding the text. All right, so key takeaways. Start writing now, by hand, record the time, and use your dictionary. You can use the VCAR website to access past papers, the criteria, etc. What we will do is we will print these and we will attach them and tick the relevant or highlight the relevant criteria so you know where you're sitting. But if you need more feedback because you don't understand how to get to the next level, then you ask us and we will do our very best to help you get there. All right, thank you for listening. There will be another one shortly to follow for section A, then B and C. Thank you.